this fireside chat and told me that it's about time, or probably it's actually we should have done this, earlier because of the need to really have a dialogue among universities and among our scientists who are interested in bringing to bear, the international networks and resources to the human capital development efforts, in the Philippines. So kaya nga po, I would like to welcome this morning Mr. Ritin from the Times Higher Education, the president of Mariano Marcos State University, Dr. Agrupis, the director of oil from UP's system, Dr. Jaime Martinez, and the assistant director of the University of Santo Tomas Internationalization programs, Dr. Santiago. I also would like to thank Dr. Alvin Culaba and Dr. Al Serafika for agreeing to provide perspectives from their own experiences to this internationalization effort, and of course Dr. Gobet Advincula, who is co-moderating with Professor Kokoy this morning. So without further ado, I'd like to again turn over the virtual floor to Kokoy. But please don't forget, we have another fireside chat for this month, the science and language medium of instruction, to be top billed by NCRP President Dr. Greg Del Pilar and a representative from the Linguistic Summer Institute. We have also reactors there like Dr. Academician Fortunato Sevilla from UST and Dr. and Academician Alan Bernardo from De La Salle University. So please don't forget, we also have another webinar after this, sponsored by UPLB on zoonotic diseases. And next week, we have the final webinar for the month on ayungin, the hatchery production hatchery of ayungin from CIFTEC, our main speaker. So again, I'd like to turn over the virtual floor to Kokoy. Thank you very much, Po, and I hope you will stay until the end and attend also our webinar after this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, President Mario, for that. Okay, can you hear me? Yes, so let me just quickly give some introduction on this rankings. So earlier this year, and maybe just recently last week, we have received, or we have seen some reports by Times Higher Education and QS university rankings, and we can see several universities, usually the top 4, top 5 universities in the Philippines, and there is also some reporter status. We actually don't know the meaning of these terms, but today I will be enlightened, and we'll be hearing from our guest speakers on some topics related to these rankings. And also, this is the university rankings that I'm showing right now. And we also have the impact rankings recently. I think this was recently launched by THE. And we have several universities, I think 15 or 16 universities from the Philippines that is included, or that are included in these rankings. Now, are these rankings important, and why does it matter to the universities, especially here in the Philippines? Now, for HE, if these are important, what can we do? For example, for the HEIs, how can Philippine universities or higher education institutions be included in the rankings? What are the metrics? Or if you're in the rankings, how to move up in the rankings? And what are the programs that can be adopted from top universities? For example, Ateneo, De La Salle, UP, Mapua, University of Santo Tomas, and other universities. what programs are they implementing, and how can we adopt or somehow do what they're doing. So, and what programs do we need to start or stop or continue or realign? How many international faculty do they have? Number of international students? And how many of their faculties and students are in exchange programs abroad? And how to increase the number of HEIs included in the rankings. Now for PAASE, how can we, PAASE as an organization and individual members, assist or partner with these HEIs? Is it in research mentoring, scientific writing, or publish in our journal, SciEngJ, which is now indexed by ISI and Scopus? Do we host conferences together with them? So these are just some things that we have to consider or have to know, have to ask and share in this morning's fireside chat. So I think that ends the introduction, and we have many speakers today, and we will be learning a lot. And we thank the speakers for today, and the participants that we have from different universities, HEIs, colleges in the regions, and here in the Philippines. So without further ado, I would like to call on our first speaker. Sorry. We have Feb. Can you flash the profile of Ritin Malhotra? So sorry, I have to. Okay. So our first speaker for today is Mr. Ritin Malhotra. He is the General Manager and Regional Director for Asia of Times Higher Education. He oversees THE's strategic partnerships and commercial initiatives in Asia and leads the team from the Asia headquarters. Ritin works closely with governments, higher education institutions, media and news agencies, and corporations to establish partnerships and sponsorships while supporting universities, governments, and corporations to advance their research and sustainability goals, as well as initiatives on internationalization. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management from Singapore Management University and a certificate program in marketing from UC Berkeley. So, Ritin, good morning. You may start.
Good morning.
Yep.
So first of all, I would like to thank PAASE for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. And I'd like to also greet my fellow panelists, Dr. Shirley, Dr. Karen, and Dr. Aimee, and all that are present here. So when it comes to the internationalization of higher education institutions and context of global rankings, I believe that global rankings do play a vital role, especially when institutions are looking to become world-class. It is important to benchmark not only with the other institutions at the national level, but at the global level as well. And that's where a role that organizations such as Times Education play in helping doing an internal assessment across the world. So if I just share my screen to share some insights on the university ranking frameworks and also the process of participation in the short time that I have. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
So very quickly, for us at Times Education, we believe that there are three core university missions across the world: a mission on teaching, a mission on research, and supporting the local societies and communities. And towards that, we have tried to come up with different initiatives to support the higher education sector across each of these missions. When it comes to the global rankings, there are two global rankings that we do. One is the World University Rankings, which focuses on measuring performance of the world's best research-intensive universities. So a lot of the parameters that we focus on for the World University Rankings focuses on research-related aspects, which I'll touch upon briefly. We do have other regional rankings like the Asia University Rankings, Emerging Economies Rankings, as well as the subject rankings, which follows the same methodology as the World University Rankings. Coming to the third mission of the institutions, we launched the Impact Rankings in 2019, which is based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And it is very clear that increasingly a lot of not only the higher education institutions themselves, but even policymakers, the students, all the key stakeholders in the sector are increasingly giving more importance to sustainability as well. And we have currently 1,800 institutions globally, which are now part of the World University Rankings. So broadly, what we want to measure are few key aspects, including aspects on teaching, aspects on research. So in teaching, we look at criteria, for example, the staff to student ratios, looking at the proportion of doctoral degrees awarded, looking at the revenue generating aspects of the institution in terms of the institutional income, research income, industry income. We look at aspects on the research productivity in terms of number of research publications per research staff. We are also looking at the quality of the research publication because, as I mentioned, the ranking framework focuses on the research intensive universities. So we look at aspects, for example, the field weighted citation impact as one of the measures. And going forward, we'll be focusing on the 75th percentile. We want to also understand how the institutions are contributing to the very best of research. So in terms of the number of publications in the top 10% publication in terms of the FWCI. And we also want to understand how influential the research is as well. Similarly, other aspects we will look at is in terms of the technology transfer. So when it comes to how many patents are citing the research produced by the institution, that would be also a criteria we'll be looking at. And finally, in terms of the international outlook, we do touch upon a proportion of international students, proportion of international faculty, international research papers with at least one international co-author. So these are some of the indicators that we would focus on for the World University Rankings. Now, because we do want to measure the best institutions in the world, we do have a certain eligibility criteria. So the institution need to publish at least 1,000 publications in the last 5-year period with a minimum of 150 publications per year. And here we are looking only at Scopus Index publications as the sole point of reference. The institutions must also teach at the undergraduate level and should not be a subject specialist, and also would need to submit data to us in order to be considered. This touches upon the research-intensive universities, but we do understand that a lot of institutions also in the Philippines are very keenly involved with the local communities and also working closely with the government or CHED as well to develop a SDG sustainability roadmap. So in that context, we do have the second global ranking framework, which is focusing on these aspects. So broadly, we do focus on 4 broad areas where we want to understand the relevant research which is being produced by the institutions to tackle the challenges that we face in the society today. We want to understand how the institutions are utilizing their resources, both in terms of financial resources as well as human resources to create a more sustainable environment at the university campuses. We want to look at examples of outreach, how the institutions are directly involved with the local communities. So clear evidences of those. And then aspects on teaching, so how the institutions are imparting knowledge to their graduates to become more responsible citizens once they graduate from the institutions. So I do not have too much time, but I'll just briefly share that what we want to do is to encourage as much transparency as possible. So one of the criteria in terms of evaluation is providing publicly available evidences. So the more publicly the evidences are available, the higher score the institution would receive in some of these criteria. And we also understand that not all institutions might be looking at all the goals. So as you would be aware, there are 17 sustainable development goals. So in order to make it as easy as possible and as inclusive as possible, we produce a ranking on each of the 17 goals, as well as the overall ranking. So if an institution believes that there's only a single SDG, which is the most relevant for their institution in line with their own mission, they can choose to participate in a single SDG, and we will rank them in that particular SDG. Similarly, if the institution believes that there are many SDGs which are applicable, we do have an overall ranking as well, where we ask the institution to submit data for 4 out of the 17 goals, where SDG 17 is compulsory, and the other 3 goals they can choose. In terms of the eligibility criteria, for the impact ranking, the criteria is very broad. As long as the institutions are recognized by the national government as a higher education institution and are in good standing, they would be able to participate in the impact ranking. So this is one big difference when it comes to the qualifying criteria compared to the World University rankings. Now, in terms of participation, participation in both the ranking frameworks is free. So if there's any Philippine institution which is keen to join either of the ranking frameworks, they just need to nominate a data provider on behalf of the institute. And these are some of the emails they can get in touch with. So you can just indicate your interest of participating to us. And once we register the details, we'll be able to share all the relevant information with the institutions. So I'll just stop here. I know there's a very brief time that I have.
Yes, thank you, Ritin. Okay, let's save the questions for later. Okay, thank you, Ritin. Feb, can you flash the next, the profile of the next speaker? Okay. Next is Dr. Amy Sue Martinez, the Director of the Office of International Linkages, UP Oil, and is a professor of the Institute of Chemistry, UP Diliman. Her research interest is surface chemistry, characterizing molecules at interfaces using surface-specific techniques. The systems that she is presently studying are ionic liquids for various applications, molecularly imprinted polymers, lipid layers, self-assembled monolayers, and marine biological samples. She became a UP scientist in 2019 and holds a 1 UP professorial chair. Her advocacy and extension work are on the peaceful and ethical use of chemistry, sitting as a member of the Scientific Advisory Board of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. She served as the director of the Office for International Linkages, Diliman, from 2017 to 2019 before joining the oil system as deputy director in 2020. She is currently the director of Oil System and the AVP for Internationalization under the Office of the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Good morning, Dr. Martinez.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, Paul.
And then let me share my screen before I start speaking. Can you see my screen, Paul?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, and good evening to those who are in the US. Thank you very much for inviting me here and for giving me this opportunity to talk about our programs in the Office of International Linkages. UP is actually mandated to internationalize, and this is clearly stipulated in our 2008 charter. As you can see here in Statement 5, UP is expected and is actually required to engage universities and institutions outside of the country so it can serve as a regional and global university. So this is the goal, really. One UP towards a strong global university. And as we know, UP has 8 constituent universities scattered all over the Philippine archipelago. And so what we would like to achieve is to become one UP system, which is a national university, significant, of course, in the country, but also imbued with international perspective and distinction. These are networks wherein UP is a part of. And then these are our numbers in terms of bilateral partners from different continents. And if you're interested to find out what these institutions are and what these universities are, you can check out our website. I have written the link here. So the reason I actually mentioned bilateral partnerships and networks is because it is easier for UP to collaborate and engage with institutions abroad, and therefore participate in different internationalization activities if there is an actual agreement involved. And so I have listed here possible areas of collaboration with institutions abroad. I have highlighted, so the ones in maroon font right here from A to F are the more typical activities that we have. And then for G to H are the less common ones. And I think these are the activities that we need to improve upon in UP. So in order for UP to participate in this different internationalization activities, and then also for UP to achieve its internationalization goal, the government has actually provided support for UP in terms of programs. So these programs are a form of financial support. So I have listed the programs here, and later on I'll actually go through each one of them. And these programs started way back in 2014. I think I saw PE Giselle Concepcion earlier. She was then the VP for Academic Affairs in UP. And I think she started this program. And so now I think since last year, we have started to revise the guidelines for these different programs, because the goal really of our office is to become accessible, efficient, enabling, as well as inclusive in implementing this program. So we have already started our OIL application portal for ease of access to these programs. And then we also provide in-person or virtual pre-departure orientation and liquidation assistance for our grantees, just to make their lives easier. So the first program that I will talk about is called the Move Up program. This is intended for sophomore and higher level undergraduate students, so they can participate in student exchange for a semester or two abroad in a university abroad. And this particular program also includes internships, degree-related trainings, and thesis work. I have actually listed the support that we provide here. So we provide round-trip airfare, accommodation allowance, tuition waiver through our agreements. That's why having agreements is very important, as well as insurance. The next program is called the Cooperate program. Now, this one is intended for our graduate students. The goal is to help our graduate students, to enable them to finish their degrees in a timely manner, as well as publish their work in high-impact journals through co-advisorship with experts in international partner universities and through active research cooperation. And so we provide support for both the student and the faculty advisor in terms of the following. So airfare, again, accommodation allowance, tuition waiver, insurance, and visa fees or departure fees. The next program is called the Travel Grant Program, and this allows the UP community to participate in international conferences to showcase their research for whatever art form they have or exhibit. And now we have expanded this program to not only to our graduate students, but also to regular faculty members, reps, permanent administrative staff, and any representative that UP will recommend to participate in a meeting or an international conference. So the support that we provide are round-trip economy airfare, DSA for the period of the conference, and registration fees. And then we also have the hosting program, wherein a department or a college in UP may conduct or host an international conference, and this is the maximum support that we provide, around 200,000 pesos. And then we also have the World Expert Lecture Series program, wherein we can invite eminent world leaders and artists to provide lectures, give lectures, shows, or let's say, presentations to the UP community. And these are the support that we provide: round-trip economy airfare, DSA, other operating expenses. Let's say if you need to rent a function hall or you need food for the lecture participants, etc., for a maximum of 50,000. So during the pandemic, we had to be more creative because we do not want to stop with our internationalization activities. So we came up with the UP Virtual Internationalization Program, or the UP VIP. So what does it do? Basically, we just added a virtual component to the different programs that I have mentioned earlier. And so now Move Up became Move Up Plus. And this time it provides support for virtual internationalization activities for our students. So now we can pay for their program participation and cultural immersion fees. We can also provide internet load support and gadget subsidy. And since UP has partnered with Coursera, we can now upsize the semestral learning experience of our students by also taking courses in Coursera. And then for the travel grant support, we also provide funding to those who will participate in virtual conferences. So what are the support we provide? Conference fees, internet subsidy to a maximum amount of 10,000 pesos, and proceedings or publication fees. And then hosting can also be done virtually, and the same amount is provided. And of course, the wealth support, which is important. So now experts can visit virtually the university. And so what are the fees that we provide? Resource fee for the invited speakers or experts. And then we also can provide professional fees for host and MC. And then of course, technical and support staff to a maximum of 3 members can be supported. And other expenses, for example, web page hosting and maintenance fee. So this particular program is not implemented as a system level. So you have to engage with the CUs to actually avail of this program. And this is called the Visiting Professor and Experts Program. And the reason I have included this here is because I think this is significant for the audience that I have. I know a lot of professors here are from abroad. So who can apply? Experts and faculty from local and international institutions outside of UP. That person may be Filipino or non-Filipino, and even retired experts and faculty can be part of this program. And what are the types of engagements that can be done? It can be a virtual or in-person engagements, which I have listed here, just some examples: lecturer, thesis panel, thesis reader, researcher, even a QA officer may be supported. And these are the financial support: round-trip economy airfare, living allowance, salary, depending on appointment, of course. So the CU has to give you an appointment, so you can be a visiting professor or faculty. And then we can also provide speaker fees if it's a virtual visit. You have to follow all the government rules though. And then honorarium based on your engagements. If you're a panel, then you will be paid as a panel. So these are our contact information. If you're interested in our programs, please visit our website, which I've written here. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. And now I welcome some questions from you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Martinez. We'll have the Q&A later. Yeah, so yeah, too many programs for UP, and that's why they're always in the top 1, 2, 3 in the rankings of QS and THE. Fab, can you please show the next slide for the next presenter? Thank you, Dr. Martinez. Yeah. Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Karen Santiago. She is a graduate of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry, UST, Manila, in 2011, and was in a sandwich program at the University of Wollongong, Australia in 2009. Her research highlights are chemi-resistive electronic nodes for differentiation of medicinal plants and Philippine coffee beans, potentiometric electronic tongue for environmental monitoring, and materials-based gas sensors for clinical and environmental monitoring and controlled release materials. She served as the chairperson, University of Santo Tomas Department of Chemistry, College of Science from 2011 to 2014. She's currently the Associate Director, University of Santo Tomas Office of International Relations and Programs from 2014 up to the present. Good morning, Dr. Karen Santiago.
Magandang umaga po, Sir Dison. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes po. Yeah. Please. Go.
At magandang gabi sa ating mga kasamahan po no, sa Amerika. So on behalf of our director, Professor Lilian Sison, I would like to thank PAASE for inviting the University of Santo Tomas to share our strategic programs on internationalization. Again, I'm Karen from the Office of International Relations and Programs. So I will begin my presentation with a brief summary of the academic profile of UST, followed by a quick look on the internationalization framework of UST and OIRP's recommended internationalization programs in the new normal of higher education. So UST is considered as the oldest Catholic university in Asia, with over 40,000 students in a single campus. It is a comprehensive university offering 106 undergraduate, 56 masters, and 24 doctoral degree programs spread over 19 faculties and colleges. So currently, UST has 186 international partners or active international partners spread across 32 countries, and is an active member, and UST is an active member of the 17 international networks. UST is the first Philippine university awarded with 5 stars by the Quacquarelli-Simons and emerged as the Times Higher Education's top university in terms of addressing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Specifically, the UN SDGs that were seen as part of the strength of UST are SDGs numbers 3, 6, 14, and 17, which dealt with good health and well-being due to our health and medical programs. Number 6, we have the clean and water, with the provision of the water and sanitation services to Baseco compound. UN SDG 14, life below water, due to UST's projects on Lake Taal. And then lastly, we have UN SDG number 17, which deals with partnerships and goals. It's because of the growing number of partnerships with other HEIs, both internationally and locally, and with different government agencies as well as various organizations. So our university brand is anchored on the high employability of our graduates, the quality of our research as measured by a citation per faculty, which is consistent in Asia's top tier. Our trust on internationalization programs that is supported by 186 bilateral agreements with different universities and research units worldwide. And finally, by our community-based academic programs. The University of Santo Tomas is internationalizing its programs, just as many higher education institutions are doing in the region and around the world. Its efforts in infusing an international and intercultural perspectives in its threefold functions of teaching, research, and extension services are informed by 411 years of tradition and history of Catholic education. And not to mention its overarching goal of becoming the premier Catholic institution of higher learning in Asia. The Spanish Dominican fathers founded the university with a vision of the cosmopolitan universities pervading Europe during the Middle Ages. For example, the University of Bologna and Salamanca. In more recent times, UST was granted the pontifical status, and being pontifical, we educate our students to become leaders in ecclesiastics, as well as in the civil disciplines such as medicine, law, science, engineering, politics, business and economics, literature, music and the arts, design, and the social sciences. We prepare them for this leadership role by providing a learning environment where research invigorates its academic culture and where innovation is encouraged, because we believe that we can best serve the needs of the communities by translating scientific discoveries into practical applications. Moreover, as a Catholic university, we take our engagement in community service and extension work seriously. Through service learning and immersions in community-based programs, we prepare our students to be leaders for social transformation and to be men and women in the service of others. As a Pontifical and Catholic university, UST promotes interfaith harmony and dialogue. The university's doors are open to deserving students from all faith traditions. Along with the gradual opening of borders in the ASEAN, the lives of our citizens, our economies, and our academic and scientific pursuits will grow increasingly intertwined with those of the region and the rest of the world. This necessitates the engagement of the university with the growing trends of internationalization and globalization. It is therefore necessary that our students understand the global context of the environment within which they live, study, and work. So the UST's internationalization efforts are actually anchored on 5 strategies. We have the expansion of the student mobility opportunities with deep experiences. We have the enhancement of faculty diversity and expertise through mobility programs, visiting professorship, and international faculty secondment and joint scientific activities. Encouragement of international research collaboration, or what we call as transnational research, in finding solutions to global problems. Internationalization of the curriculum through new pedagogical approaches to facilitate collaborative and cross-cultural learning, and through transnational education. And lastly, we have supporting internationalization at home. Our academic community in the campus are reminded on these strategies, as well as the language of internationalization through the coordinators that we have per academic unit. So previously, study abroad was the primary pathway to increase student knowledge and engagement with the world. Though majority of the students do not and likely will not study abroad. In fact, from a global perspective, only 2% is found, or 2% is found to be of the total world student population in higher education was internationally mobile. And the same holds true for UST. In the past 5 academic years before the pandemic, the figures range only from 2 to 4% outbound students in the collegiate level. And this low percentage is attributed to factors such as geographical distance, the limited resources, and compatibility of course offerings between the home and the host institutions. And that even if we provide scholarships to governments or networks assistance, equity of access remains a concern. Further, we had to address the remaining 96 to 98% who stayed at home. So we tried infusing internationalization at home, which deals with concerns on internationalization at home in our campus, with internationalization of the curricula.
Excuse me, Dr. Karen, excuse me, I think your slide is not moving. So can you share?
All right.
Please, thank you.
Which one is being shared as of the moment, sir?
I think it's the first slide.
Okay. Hold on, sir.
And also, can you later share the slide to the group so we can share to the participants later on? Thank you.
Sure, sir. Okay, allow me to reshare. Okay, so since the first quarter of 2020, the pandemic has shown a great toll on internationalization, surfacing as the major challenge in sustaining the internationalization activities in addition to the previously mentioned challenges. So in March of 2020, we reviewed our 5 strategies on internationalization, and we realized that the 5-point approaches remains. They are still relevant, and that the identified major challenge may actually be regarded as an opportunity as well. So, and similar to UP, a new scheme was implemented. So before, the study abroad involves physical mobility. So in 2020, 2021, and still the first part of 2022, due to still there are some travel restrictions, UST offered what we call as virtual mobility. So this opened a new door of equal chances. And because of this, more students and faculty members were able to participate. So in the second quarter of 2020, what OIRP did is to craft a set of recommendations on how the UST community will move forward and continue with internationalization as we face the new normal of higher education. So as mentioned, from physical, we shifted to virtual, and currently we are considering the blended programs. So there are various virtual mobility initiatives, and these are doable because we have the online platform. UST is lucky because our Blackboard is existing for almost 2 decades already, so it was not difficult for the community to transition when everything has that, when the teaching and learning has to be carried out remotely. So we have the support system and the dynamic faculty members. So among the different approaches, holding webinars, online symposia, or e-fora appears as the simplest. For example, we have the inaugural activity between the UST Chile and the UST Manila, Philippines for its joint symposium involving biodiversity, conservation, and management in the time of change. We had CTHM conducting a series of webinars for, and please notice that what they've used in promoting to the students and deploying the activity is our own, very own cloud campus. So the research centers and academic units join hands and organize monthly webinars anchored on specific themes, with consideration of multidisciplinary approach so as not to overwhelm our students and teachers. So many academic units made use of webinars as part of their College Week celebration. So this is an example wherein our visiting faculty in the person of Reverend Father Nicanor Austria from the Providence University USA served as one of the discussants. And what the college did is not only to limit it within the campus or the members of the UST community, but likewise to use the live webcasting. So in this particular webinar, they tried to focus on addressing COVID-19 situation in the Philippines. We continued with our joint symposia. So for example, this one, we have one with the University of Shiga Prefecture. So the difference is that it's no longer in campus, but the virtual mode has been found effective still. So the USC College of Architecture hosted the Modern Asian Architecture in 2020. So they came up with a workshop and this 6-year initiative to document, study, and work toward conservation of modern architecture in the Asian region was very successful. So virtual exchanges impart deeper involvement among the students. So of course, we cannot only focus on webinar, though it's simple, but we have to ensure the deeper scope of our virtual activities. So in this slide, we have an example of virtual cultural exchange between Taiwanese and the Tomasian students. We also had we had invited clinical professors from the University of Illinois in Chicago, USA, to deliver different modules on oncology and pediatrics. And lastly, we have another approach which we found very effective also, because we found out that when we do virtual exchanges, it's quite limited. Probably that whole term scope is a little too much for the students and even the faculty members. So we try to infuse what we call as the collaborative online international learning. So in a nutshell, COIL is about connecting across differences. So it connects us and our colleague in another country to develop collaborative projects that our students do together across geographical distance, different time zones, and even language differences using similar online tools. And it becomes one aspect of our regular course, supporting our student learning goals, giving us and our students the opportunity to engage hands-on with our course concepts and new ideas, and most importantly, exploring them from different cultural perspectives. So if you want our students to learn the knowledge and skills of global citizenship, they need opportunities to work on shared challenges with people who are different from them. And based on our experience, COIL is one powerful technique of global learning for both teachers and students. So here are some examples of COIL under the EU Share Scholarship programs. We have a 6-week COIL, which is multidisciplinary in nature. We also have a 5-week COIL in the same discipline in health sciences, another one in computing sciences. We also tried what we call as a tripartite type of online activity. So allow me to share with you some feedback on COIL as seen through the lenses of the student participants. So in terms of experience and learnings, they mentioned, or many mentioned, that this experience is different and unique. And they were equipped in case they will be working outside the country. That's the view of the students. No? They learn that not only academic knowledge, but also cultural and social transformation. The students are willing to learn, provided they are given opportunity. So the students likewise mentioned that they were able to communicate well and become more confident in terms of communicating with others. It broadened their perspective in terms of how to adapt, work, and communicate with people coming from various backgrounds. They obtain knowledge not only from the professors, but also from the students themselves, the diversity of cultures and approaches to be applied in relation to their professional practice. The experience increased cultural awareness. So they became, as mentioned, they learned how to adapt, they became more open-minded, they realized that collaborating is better, they made friends, new friends, and they were able to work together. And as we remind our students, knows this could be your initial network, and even if you enter the professional workforce, this initial network could be your lifelong network, who knows. So they mentioned that they understand the uniqueness of different cultures, but also they see cultures resemble each other. And it was a short period of time. This is one of the comments or common comments that we received. It's a short period of time, but they were able to spend it very well. So they learned and they enjoyed their experience. When the students were asked whether they wanted to participate in another COIL activity, 95.2 or technically 100% said yes, and this is a good indication that this approach is effective. So to sum up, there are many factors that could possibly affect our internationalization programs, and it would be best if the higher education institutions have a room for flexibility in order to adapt to the changing needs of the society. So thank you, and again, magandang umaga po sa lahat.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dr. Santiago, for that sharing. Okay, Feb, can you share the last slide for the next speaker? Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Shirley Agrupis. Dr. Agrupis is a full-fledged professor and president of Mariano Marcos State University, MMSU, a multi-awarded educator, researcher, and public servant. She is the recipient of the 2022 Internationalization Leadership Award from the Commission on Higher Education and the 2021 Dioscoro L. Umali Medal Outstanding Science Administrator Award from the National Academy of Science and Technology, Philippines, and the 2019 William D. Dar Research Leadership Award given by the Philippine Association of Research Managers. Sorry. Okay. As a university president, she steered MMSU to be ranked 401st to 600 in the 2022 Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, a 3-star university in the QS Stars rating system, and ISO certified in all processes. Most recently, MMSU was ranked among the top 50 universities in 3 categories of the World Universities with Real Impact Rankings. Number 4 in Industrial Revolution, number 36 in Industrial Application, and number 49 in Crisis Management, and ranked 101 to 200 overall. Likewise, MMSU obtained Level 3 institutional accreditation from the Accrediting Agency of Chartered Colleges and Universities in the Philippines, or AACUP, and was awarded bronze level in the program to institutionalize meritocracy and excellence in human resource management of the Civil Service Commission. Dr. Agruppi's strategic focus on internationalization expanded MMSU's global influence through increased internationalization linkages and mobility of faculty and students, and led its successful adaptation into the new normal as a smart university amid the COVID-19 pandemic. As research project leader, she steered various research projects on bioethanol, which eventually paved the way for the establishment of the National Bioenergy Research and Innovation Center at MMSU. So, Dr. Agrupis, good morning po.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, madam. Yeah, good morning po.
Thank you. So allow me to share screen, please. I have with me my staff. Thank you very much. It is with deep gratitude that I express my appreciation for bestowing the honor to share podium with the research and academic leaders in the Philippines. To me, this is a dream come true. This is because as young researcher and presenter of scientific papers in PAASE conferences, I have deep admiration to all PAASE members, Philippine or US based, in their commitment to help transform and level up the STI landscape in the Philippines. And becoming a PAASE member is a big milestone in my professional career. It is then my pleasure to talk about the model internationalization programs of higher education institution towards inclusivity, sustainability, and greater impact time, and share with you Mariano Marcos State University's journey, our strategies and achievements towards internationalization. I will not be talking about MMSU anymore because our website is open. In the interest of time, let me go straight to my presentation. Now, we all know that global competitiveness is an overarching goal in Philippine higher education, encapsulated in the vision of CHED for a Philippine higher education system that is equitable and produces locally responsive, innovative, and globally competitive lifelong learners. But there are huge challenges that we need to surmount to achieve this goal, especially in these trying times. We are in a tumultuous phase in our history, impacted by globalization, the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, and the continuing threat of COVID-19 challenges that push us to our limits, compelling us not only to cope, but to innovate sustainable solutions in future-proofing our stakeholders. Internationalization being one of the key features of higher education, now requires more dynamic and adaptable policies, adaptable frameworks and programs to accommodate the ever-changing landscape within and across economies. Hence, the Philippine Commission on Higher Education reformed and recalibrated its policy framework and strategies on the internationalization of the Philippine higher education policy framework and strategies on the internationalization of the Philippine higher education pursuant to the Higher Education Act of 1994 that serves as the standard and guideline in the formation of HEI specific internationalization framework. I would like to emphasize that there is no framework that fits all HEI because HEI are situated in difficult political environment, status, and many more. So the current framework integrated internationalization and international education, which are founded and streamlined with the Asian development goals. Thus, the challenge for HEI is not merely comply with the policies, but to create an innovative, sustainable, and future-proof internationalization framework is specific and relevant to its institution. MMHU's internationalization initiatives are anchored in quality assurance and aligned with JED's internationalization strategies, including enhanced implementation of quality assurance framework, systematic facilitation of countrywide and regional mobility, and market access of students, faculty, and staff, and building and strengthening of appropriate linkages. All these are pursuant to CMO 55 series of 2016. In 2019, ambitious as I was only 2 years as president of MMSU, I led my team to connect the dots, what we have. So we subjected MMSU to the QS star rating audit, where we were given a rating of 3 stars. Our overall points would have qualified us for 4 stars, but our low rating, 4 stars, in internationalization, take note, the lowest score that we had was 2 star. In internationalization, limited our award to 3 stars. All the other parameters, we got 4 or 5 stars. This motivated us to develop and implement our strategic internationalization plan, which includes customized program for international students, expanded international collaboration and industry partnership, state-of-the-art facilities, because we learned from the QS that embarking into internationalization, we need to ready our house. So with this strategic internationalization program in place, we have established more than 90 dynamic multicultural and international linkages in Asia, US, Canada, and United Kingdom. Each of these partnerships is governed by a memorandum of agreement or understanding, which details the specific targets and mechanisms of collaborative undertakings, such as joint academic and research programs, faculty and student exchanges, which allows our faculty to experience the academic culture in other countries, thereby improving their cross-cultural competence and flexibility. To date, our lowest in our QS star, which is student mobility, we have leveled up to 292 students participated in the credit transfer program implemented with 14 institutions in Southeast Asia and Japan. We also started our faculty going to other countries and receive foreign students, both face-to-face and online. Now, our online learning system, I would like to highlight that this propel us to manage our internationalization program during the pandemic, because we have developed our own learning management system. So our online delivery of classes to our foreign student was not interrupted. Our partnerships allow us to contribute to global sustainability initiatives by engaging with international experts through various government fellowship projects like the DOST Balik Scientist Program. I know Dr. Coelho is here and other scientists. We engage experts, and we also engage US-based scientists through the Senior Fulbright Fellowship and US English Language Fellow. So to date, our National Bioenergy Research and Innovation Center is the product of our engagement with Balik scientists, which is now the hub for renewable energy research and teaching in the university. Out of this, we develop our own program, which is the Professional Science Masters in Renewable Energy and Engineering. We also established, out of our engagement with Balik scientists, we established the DOST-funded Tuklas Luna Center, Climate Resilience Center, and other centers that we have. We have partnership with Japanese universities for capacity building, mentoring, and research on renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, and nanotechnology. A collaborative project with the University of Saskatchewan, Canada, that advances indigenous knowledge system across disciplines. Taking exchanges to the next level, MMSU will engage in program exchange with our partner universities as part of our program for transnational education, as we will soon functionalize the microcampus of the University of Arizona at MMSU. And at present, we are one of the 5 universities picked up by the British Council to explore and establish a transnational education focusing on information technology with universities in the UK with the help of the British Council. In fact, I just arrived from the UK 3 days ago, and I was able to sign a partnership with University East London for the PhD in data science, and Liverpool Hope University for the telerobotics. Likewise, we capitalize on the presence of MMSU graduates around the world by building strong network of alumni, which will help us focus our program on addressing the needs of the global workforce and in resource generation. This year, we launched MMSU Global Alumni Network, US chapter, and the UK chapters. Through our Balik alumni program, MMSU graduates share their experiences and pointers to help students succeed in the global workflows. They are also our feeder, how we can realign the program, the curriculum, in order to become more internationally competitive. Our successful alumni give back through meaningful collaborations with the universities as a true giving scholarship and training opportunities for students. I would like to highlight our internationalization programs, redirected our strategies and made us more responsive to the international challenges and sustainable goals. As a fruit of this, MMSU at present, young as it is, we are turning 45 years, and we started all these strong international programs 5 years ago when I assumed my presidency. We are now rated as 3-star university in the QS Stars rating system, a level 4 university in a 5-level classification of Philippine University, ranked 401st 600 in the 22 times higher education impact ratings, ISO certified in all processes, in all campuses, bronze level in the program to institutionalize meritocracy and excellence in human resource management, and the Civil Service Commission. On final note, I would like to highlight that our internationalization strategies are not only crafted to level up reputation and visibility or magiging popular, but more importantly, to harness the immense value of internationalization and international collaboration and partnership in leveling up the competencies and skills of our graduates to become more globally competitive human capital imbued with the necessary 21st century skills and only to be successful, not only to be successful, but resilient in the VUCA world by building upon quality assurance, internationalization, and collaboration. I would like to take this opportunity. I know I do not have time anymore, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank the eminent officials and members of PAASE who I met when I was still the director of MMS Internationalization Program, focal person of the UST Balik Scientist Program, research and academic partners who remain my kabalikat in leveling up our humble university. There are so many of you, Ma'am Giselle, Sir Colaba, Sir Serafika, Sir Coelho, there are so many of you who inspire me to move forward. So I would like to say in the name of our 16,500 students and less than 2,000 employees, both faculty and non-teaching personnel, I would like to say thank you to all of you. You are all co-authors of our internationalization programs and milestone. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Agripis, for that sharing and very excellent accomplishments of MMSU regarding internationalization. So, Doc Gobet. So we'll have the reactions of our colleagues, and who will be introduced by Professor Advincula. Where is Doc Gobet?
Joining soon. Sorry, I been struggling with internet and a busy schedule, and as you can see from my background, I'm in the Philippines. So actually, I appreciate so much the speakers, and let me. So let me congratulate again all the speakers, and we have had a rich morning so far, and we will have a richer morning with the reactionaries, including Dr. Colaba. But before I introduce him, let me emphasize several things that I note. As an academic myself, having been a professor since 1997 and have traveled widely and engaged in the Philippines, my opinion, humble opinion, is that in the long term and short term, the ranking of universities hinge on several things. But in the long term, there are only three things that I value or have seen to be very, very important for a university ranking. And that is number one, PhD degrees. The number of PhD degrees that an institution can have is a far-ranging impact, and in fact is a highly valuable metric in most U.S. university. Number two is internationalization. So the more you engage widely the world, both in international travel, sending scholars or inviting scholars to the universities, you can have a long-term effect. And number three is publication. At the end of the day, that metric speaks more about a university and the quality of its graduates in terms of impacting science, technology, society, and engaging in the world in terms of that medium. So again, three things: PhD production, internationalization, and publications. Okay, so with that, I'd like to open, of course, Professor Colaba, who is a highly renowned scientist, a member of NASD, and advocate of many things that we love to do at PAASE, and give him the floor to give his reaction and opinion of the global ranking and internationalization. So Alvin.
Okay. Thank you, Gobet and Kokoy. Sorry, I'm I'm actually attending a BOT meeting, but silent muna ako sa kabila. So I really cannot miss this, forum. Anyway, let me just share screen, just to share my thoughts, no, on the earlier presentations of Amy, Karen, and Shirley, and of course, Mr. Rutin Malhots was that. Anyway, I really am impressed, no, of how universities in the Philippines, many of them has really, level up in terms of internationalizing their institutions, as mentioned earlier by Gobet. He mentioned one of the key areas that universities will have to focus on if you want to globalize or to be a player in the global arena, and that is actually on one of them is the internationalization. So due to this actually work, because in LaSalle, back in 2010, we were probably one of the first universities to set up an office. So I headed that particular office as EVP for almost 6 years. Anyway, Karen, Amy, and President Shirley, their efforts towards internationalization are really impressive, commendable. And I think it has already shown, with their strong efforts that they are now amongst the global players in the academic, sector. And back, then, hindi ko maano ito ng full screen. Like, let me see where, hindi kasi naka full screen siya, no? Anyway, maybe I have a problem with my device. Anyway, I just want to share to you our motivation back in 2010 when I, first, accepted the portfolio of heading the internationalization office at LaSalle. Our primary motivation then was really the pursuit of quality and excellence. Important also to our university was the diversity and the culture of openness among its stakeholders, primarily the students and the members of the faculty. We understand, and it's highly recognized that we are a university because of our students. So that's foremost to our motivation of why we want to internationalize, at the time when we were strengthening, this particular area, was really for the students and nothing more, not even for the faculty. It's really for the students because, we needed, diversity and culture in campus. And we can only do that if we bring in, foreign students and even send out students abroad also. So they get to learn, many things, not only on the cognitive side or on the academic side, but many of the non-academic, dimensions of learning. So that was our motivation: diversity and culture, quality and excellence. But comes with it, of course, will be the prestige and influence. So there are actually 4 areas that we strengthened the students, both inbound and outbound. At that time, we were not even thinking of world rankings yet, or the criteria in the world rankings. I know it was not as popular as now, in the THE, QS, and all this stuff. But because we really want diversity and culture in campus, we have to focus on the students, both inbound and outbound. And of course, we cannot just develop our students, exposure to international, environment, but also our faculty. So our faculty, we also have a program for both inbound and outbound. So while we receive visiting professors and scholars in campus, we also encourage them or send them out, in other universities, in our partnerships with universities abroad. And of course, we have to strengthen our collaborations as a private institution. We don't have much resources for research, and we have to bank on our strong research collaborations with foreign institutions. And of course, as we were internationalizing our university, we also have to look at our programs, and therefore we have to seek international accreditation and certification programs for our academic, various academic programs, especially with the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance, system. But eventually, we had ABET and other, accreditation and certification. So basically, there's nothing new in what the three universities have presented. They're excellent. They were addressing, the internationalization of students, their faculty, research, and even, I'm sure, on their academic programs. And that is why they are internationally ranked. And when you are internationally ranked, it already manifests that you have internationalization, dimension, because as Mr. Ritten mentioned earlier in his presentation, that 7.5% of their criteria is on international, faculty, students, etc. in the THE, World University Ranking. So that already recognizes that you have, internationalization initiative in your university. But I hope that, all universities look at internationalization consistent with their vision and mission. So as long as the driver and motivation of internationalizing, their institution is consistent with their mission and vision, that is, because I'm sure there are some institutions, that are motivated, by other reasons. But in LaSalle, we really have to make sure that our internationalization strategy is anchored on our vision and mission. So strategic partnerships, underscores any internationalization efforts. And of course, it provides opportunities for academic and non-academic, experiences for both students, faculty, and staff of the whole, academic community. So I wish all the universities in the Philippines success in their internationalization efforts. We, this is not about, one university over the other, or, it has to be the entire Philippines. The reputation of universities in the country or in the Philippines is more than the reputation of one or a couple of universities that we have in this country. So let's work very hard to meet our mission and vision, and how we can actually be a major player in the global academic and scientific community. Thank you, and good morning, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Alvin, and I hope you'll be able to participate with the rest of the program. Before we, okay, very good. And before we go and proceed to the QA and also have more interaction with the panel speakers, I would like to invite Dr. Al Serapica, former PAASE president, also RTI STRIDE consultant, but in general, Al, I cannot think of anyone as engaged as Al when it comes to Philippine STEM and industry development. So, Al, can we have your viewpoints?
Yeah, thank you, Gobet. I mean, really, this is a very eye-opening as well as reflecting event for me, because I was a visiting professor when I came back as a balik scientist in 2013 in UP, and took me 26 signatures to get my appointment after talking to President Pascual and VP Giselle about agreeing to be a visiting professor in UP. And that's the challenges of being international, internationalization. I hope it's a lot easier now in UP to do that. And of course, the other part is in 2015, I was a co-awardee, and part of my presentation in LaSalle when Raymond Tan was the president of PAASE was all about exposure. And I think Alvin was still head of the internationalization program as EVP of LaSalle, when we were talking about increasing the exposure of our students through sister organizations, universities, and members of PAASE. Definitely, I was a co-awardee with Secretary Ernie Pernia in 2015, just before President Duterte got elected, and NEDA and Sec Ernie became NEDA secretary. And clearly that has bore on. And now fast forward to now, 6 years or 7 years after that discussion about exposure, I'm so happy to see Doc Shirley Agrupes, which is one of our early STRIDE grantees on the bioethanol project, scale up and internationalize her school in Lawag, and definitely having the PAASE event in Lawag in 2013 was, I think, the beginning of that process, if I recall correctly, President Shirley. And so recently, about 2 weeks ago, I'm a head of a foundation and chairman executive director of the International of the Center for Integrated STEM Education, and we just held the International STEM Summit in the Philippines with about 150 in person and 3,000 out person, and we helped launch the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Global Opportunity Index for career advancement, lifelong learning for workers. Because we're partners with a USAID grant now for advanced manufacturing, we're looking at how to use international knowledge in advanced manufacturing to localize it here in the Philippines. It's a 5-year, $5 million project that really demonstrates the need for internationalization, even in industry. And that's, I think, what's missing in the 3 aspects of the international partnership that has been discussed today. Although I did see it in the Times presentation now, fixing on tech transfer and industry relationship and hiring and employability as being part of the ranking, which is good. And also the options for sustainable development is also good. But I think we need to kind of preface it, because I come from an R1 university in New York, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I always look at their industry relationship as being one of the strongest in my book, because I come from industry. I have a technical background, but ended up starting my own company in '96 and growing it to a business, and sold it in 2012 to Johnson & Johnson. So I look at how my life as an engineer, as a scientist, and I becoming an entrepreneur for 17 years was affected by my schooling. And clearly the industrial relationships that were in existence in Rensselaer allowed me to be able to do what I did. So I think that's probably one of the things that I wanted to highlight. Now in the National Academy, in the last 3 years, I've been promoting transdisciplinary teams to partner our schools and our scientists with government and industry to whole country approach in solving our poverty, from food security to climate change resiliency to eventually addressing the economic slump that we've encountered during the pandemic. So I hope that this full thrust of internationalization is meant to address that eventually. As Alvin has rightfully said, it has to jive with your eventual mission and vision for your university. And I think I was in a summer weekend with Dr. Aparicio of UST, who was the friend of the family and was giving mass for one of my aunt's families because of the Del Rosario donations to the library of UST. And he was talking about, indeed, internationalizations of the UST hospitals, which I think was clearly outlined today. And the UST's focus on health clearly reflect that internationalization program. But I think at the end of the day, to me, at least, it's all about having the relevant and the impactful knowledge that's generated by this internationalization to be shared to our youth, in essence, so that they will be able to provide the necessary continuity, sustainability, and impact to the country in the long run. So I think that's well and good what I've heard today. I have yet to see the fruits of our internationalization bear to be able to bear fruit and show demonstrable value to not only our university ranking, but to our students, to our teachers, and eventually to the Filipino people at large. And I think we can only accomplish that by being part of a bigger team beyond our academic institutions, but to be partnered with government, industry, as well as the community that we are trying to eventually help by learning all of these international practices and partnering with all these international institutions in order to what? To gain knowledge that we can be able to provide the right education to our students and for them to be able to have fruitful and valuable contributions to the society at large. So with that, I hope I did provide enough challenge for the 3 universities, as well as I like the trust of time rankings to fix more towards both technology, research, applications, and impact. And of course, I wish you all good luck. We are all in this together. We've been at it. I've been back in the Philippines for almost 10 years now. I've always wanted to create that bridge to the international community, indeed. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to use that learning to benefit our people here in the Philippines. With that, thank you. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. And more power to you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Al, for that
Thank you.
message. And also, because of time, I would like us to move directly to a question and answer phase. Some of you may have specific questions you'd like to post on the chat column. We'll be happy to entertain them as time allows. And with the different viewpoints we have, let's start with a couple of questions here. And anyone can give us a short answer to give others more opportunities to react. So, for example, Dr. Coelho mentioned that other than engaging with far and wide countries abroad, one particular focus could be working with ASEAN neighboring countries, learning and interacting with them. And I know several universities are also targeting this. Anyone would like to give a reaction, opinion on working with ASEAN countries?
Yeah. Can I have the first one to react?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Gobet. Al, thank you also for your reaction earlier. Thank you, Joel, for your question and, of course, comment. You know, when we have to strategize back then, no, on our efforts at LaSalle, we realized that, to sustain collaboration, international collaboration is so expensive. It's resource intensive. It costs us so much to travel to Europe, to the US, and, and it was just prudent for us, being a private university, to strengthen our collaboration with the ASEAN, ASEAN universities, primarily because we are also a member of the ASEAN University Network. That we also tried to look at like Taiwan, Korea, Japan, because they are closer to us. It's really, the motivation there was really about the cost, because for private institutions like us, we'll not be able to sustain, those type of relationships with European universities. And true enough, we have top universities within our region. You have Singapore, for example, NUS, NTU, SMU, and, and even within the, in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. I think it's important that we are more also grounded with our development in the region if we have more, collaborations with our neighbors. So, but the primary really motivation at that time was really the cost. So we were strategic in our move to partner strongly with the ASEAN University Network universities, which primarily the top universities in the ASEAN region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, for that, Alvin. Another question, which is related to what I mentioned earlier, in terms of the metrics, I believe is very important for the long-term goals of any HEI universities. And since the ranking now allows us to actually differentiate ranking between more impactful metrics versus that of academic and scholarly work. Can anyone react on the challenges of or opportunities to increase the number of PhD graduates in the university? Let's see. Let's start with Dr. Santiago. Karen?
Thank you, Sir Advincula. I agree with you with regard to increasing the number of PhDs in the Philippine HEIs. In the University of Santo Tomas, what we do is that part of our faculty development is to identify, of course, the weakness first. We did the mapping and identify the weakness existing in the university. So, for instance, our College of Accountancy, the College of Accountancy is doing good or doing its best in terms of producing good CPAs. They are landing in top positions as well in terms of the licensure examinations. But we noticed that we need to improve the profile of the faculty members. So what we did is to tie up with a university in the United States, the Seton Hall University in particular, and we came up with a plan on developing these faculty members. So currently we now have 10 faculty members who graduated from Seton Hall University. Though it's not yet PhD, but we already helped them come obtain their higher degree. So the road towards PhD is already there. Another thing is our College of Architecture. Again, it's performing well, not only in the licensure exams, but also in the quality of our graduates. But again, we still notice the weakness in terms of the profile of the faculty members. And therefore, we tied up with the University of Reading in UK or in the United Kingdom. And there are now 5 new PhD faculty members from the College of Architecture. So, of course, they are doing well. As a matter of fact, they will not be producing good graduates if not for their skills, if not for their knowledge. But we do agree with you in terms of enhancing their profiles. And apart from this, if it's not a straight PhD or a PhD overseas that we can provide our faculty members, we also encourage some faculty members to engage with the science, the sandwich programs. I myself, I'm a product of a sandwich program in University of Wollongong in Australia. And we noticed that many who participated in these sandwich programs actually came up with research projects that are very much needed in the Philippines. We were able to translate whatever we have learned from overseas and bring them in the Philippines. So these are some of the approaches, sir. I'm pretty sure there are many still other programs wherein we can still develop our faculty members. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And I'd like to give an opportunity for Dr. Grupis Shirley to give some comments.
Yeah, good morning. I am struggling with my internet, so I hope you forgive me for not showing my face anymore. In the university part of our internationalization program, in the memorandum of understanding or agreement is the provision of faculty training and degree programs with the partner university. And this works because one of the challenges that we need to face in higher education institution is indeed the PhD degree. There are lots. This is one of our battle here because we need to be selective. And I keep telling the Commission on Higher Education that there should be a standard framework for university to offer a PhD degree, just like in the United States. So in our university, in order for us to produce a quality PhD, we select schools where our faculty will enroll. And part of our policy, administration policy, is that any incoming faculty and even old faculty has to submit yearly professional development plan. And in lieu with this internationalization program, we have been sending faculty already to foreign universities, and from 10% of almost 400 permanent faculty before 2017, we are now close to 30% of our faculty is a holder of PhD. Now, another concern that beset the higher education institution is indeed what you mentioned, Sir Gobet, the publication. Scopus journal. So part of our strategy in the university is that one of the requirements, a must accomplish requirement, is publication before anybody can be promoted to any level, across level of our faculty position. So I do not know how PAASE can come in, because this is a problem that is facing all higher education institution. So this is the update from the university, and at the same time posing challenge to our PAASE members who is able to accommodate faculty for a graduate program or mentoring for publication. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. I'd like to give the last comment to Dr. Martinez. Amy, can I have you join us with your comments, reaction?
Thank you, Sir Gobet. So actually, I have mentioned earlier our cooperate program, and this provides support to our graduate students. But based on our statistics, really, we only get very few PhD applicants. So I think the best way to move forward would be to work harder on developing double degrees or sandwich programs with other universities. And I think PAASE can really help us with these programs or activities.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. And when you called me Sir Gobet, you know, it reminded me of you, the University of Houston, and you are very much a product of that internalization and exchange program. So we probably have enough time for one or two questions. Kokoy, can I give you some opportunity to ask questions, maybe even related to SUCs and how to engage SUCs with HEIs and other internationalization efforts?
Yeah, thank you, Sir Gobet. To Dr. Agrupis, ma'am, madam. My question is, the SUCs have limited funding or budget, especially for internationalization. So how do you plan for your programs and for budgeting for these internationalization efforts and programs that you have at MMSU? So of course you will have to bulk of the expenses would be traveling to universities abroad, providing for the resources needed by your staff, faculty, and students. Do you outsource, or do you really include that in your annual budget? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. During the first 2 years, that the budget for traveling and to establish collaboration was a big concern. But in the next succeeding year, we already included in our GAA, and we have to defend that to the Congress and the Senate. But fortunately, our lawmakers understand the value of internationalization. Kaya it is the initiative of the HEI leaders to really submit a doable internationalization program worthy of the budget that we are asking. So yes, I have no problem in the budget for internationalization, both GAA and outsourced. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agripis.
Sorry, Kokoy. I'd like to give some room for Al. He's been wanting to give us some helpful comments. Just a short answer, Al, if you may.
Three things. Thank you, Robert. I just wanted to say on the ASEAN front, Joel, I've been part of the ASEAN diagnostic group with A-STAR, together with the UST under the COST, the Commission on Science and Technology, which is under the ASEAN framework. So clearly to me, that's an underutilized relationships for our universities here. And second is CIMEO. We just hosted with them the International STEM Summit with CIMEO. This is the Minister of Education. They have a health, CIMEO and CIARCA, which are all existing agricultural institutions headed by Glenn Gregorio also, which is a NAST member, that we have not fully utilized, if you ask me, in terms of relationship. And then on the third part, aspect on PhD generation, I was part of the board of ERDP of the USC SEI, and we took a trip to Japan and Israel in 2018 and 2019 in search for PhD programs that we can entice, especially in the areas of agriculture and manufacturing. And similar to what I described in UP, there are very few takers who want to take projects and PhD programs in those areas that we mentioned. That's why we were trying to see if we can partner with other countries to do that. But part of my realization is that we need to roadshow and entice our programs for PhD students to take on. And I think that's partly what PAASE can help describe why those PhDs are important, Robert. And I think you're possibly one of the best people to do that, because you do generate a lot of PhDs in your laboratory in Houston, Case Western, and Tennessee. So clearly being able to go around the country and tell them what the value of a PhD is clearly would help. And so I think this is, again, an opportunity for us to help, not only from the PhD level, but on the publication as well, being able to adapt. We have the 2 START centers that we've funded in the STRIDE program in UP and LaSalle. Please avail of it. That's for advanced research training from proposal writing to publications. And hopefully you can continue to be able to increase your level of publications indeed, as Gobet also demanded, which is really part of the ranking. I'm already in tech, so I'm not going to mention that part of the part, but utilize all of those available resources for us, hopefully in the near future.
Thank you, Al. And Kokoy, I give the floor back to you briefly. We probably have room for one question.
Yeah. So I think we can end in 5 to 10 minutes. So if there are more questions, can you send via chat or raise your hand? So we have around 45 to 50 participants this morning. So appreciate all the participants. Please ask questions. Yeah, for Ritin, a while ago, for Ritin, he mentioned some minimum requirements. So I just asked in the chat box a link to the methodology. So the universities can check if they will be qualified for a consideration in these rankings. Yeah. Yes, sir, Gobet.
Yeah, briefly, Kokoy, I wanted to insert the opportunities for publications and the need to go for high index Scopus rankings. We have the opportunity, of course, to mentor our colleagues in the university and graduate students. And one of the things that we can target is having them to utilize publications like the Science Journal of PAASE, the Philippine Science Letters, and other I would not say easy, but good entry points for learning how to publish internationally. And of course, me as the editor-in-chief of MRS Communication has a lot of experience in coaching and giving recommendations on how to publish your best work. So I encourage both the SUCs and HEI to take advantage of publication venues to spread the word and to make their universities more publication strong.
Sir Gobet, just a quick question.
Yes, surely.
Yes, yeah, I am so interested with your pronouncement that PAASE is in that program. One of the program of PAASE to empower universities is the mentoring in publication. How to avail that? Am I going to write a letter, or is it in a form of workshop?
That's a very good question, and I think very soon I would encourage, of course, also the board of directors to create a specific program. So the Science J Journal is actually led by Dr. Concepcion, and both me and Kokoy are in the board. And one of the things we plan to do is to have regular tutorials on best practices for publications, co-authorship, open access. And so we take note of your request. We probably will plan for a workshop in the near future, or a webinar like this that we will do for publication mentoring.
Yeah, we will be very happy to host this workshop in our university. Thank you.
Thank you. Take note. We take note. Okay, Kokoy, any more last questions before we close? Okay.
Yeah, Sir Gobet, no, wala na, no more. We can close now. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we need some photo op and
Okay. How
some announcements. Yeah.
I think it's a gallery view. Could you make the announcements? Is Dr. Mario still with us?
Yes, President Mario.
President Mario, can you make some important announcements? And then Kokoy said, let's have a photo ops.
He left the meeting po.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe I will just have to announce this next activity. Feb, is this a fireside chat or
This is a webinar po.
a webinar next week? Okay, breeding and hatchery rearing of indigenous freshwater fish species, the silver terrapon or ayungin. Yeah. So that's next week. Please join if you have time, and if you're interested, please be interested. And also we have another fireside chat this coming November 30. Aling wikang panturo para sa agham at matematika, a conversation on the issue of medium of instruction in science and math. Okay, and anything else to promote? Okay, so Feb, would you do the screenshot or?
Yes po.
Okay, thank you. Can you open your cameras?
One, two, three. Smile. Page 2 po. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Done na po.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
Blessings to everyone, and take care.
Thank you, Kokoy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, to the speakers,
Thank
to
you.
everyone, to the
Thank you.
reactors. Yep. Thank you, Paul.
Bye,
Thank you. Have
everyone.
a great day. Good night.
Everyone.
Good day. Yes.
Kokoy, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Feb.
Thank you po.
Sir Gobet, thank you.